All right, let's talk data. Have you ever sat in a meeting staring at a presentation full of charts and algorithms and just felt completely lost, like you're trying to read a foreign language? Well, you're in the right place. In this explainer, we're going to cut through all that noise. We're going to focus on one simple thing: how to make your data actually work for you and your business. And we'll kick things off with a simple idea that, honestly, can make or break any data project. So take a look at this. 80% plus explainable is greater than 85% plus opaque plus ignored. What in the world does that mean? It's actually pretty simple. It means that a data model that you can understand, one you can explain to your team, one that actually gets used, well, that's way, way more valuable, even if it's only 80% accurate. It's so much better than some super complex 85% accurate model that's just a black box nobody trusts or knows what to do with. The takeaway? Getting something useful out the door beats chasing perfection every single time. All right, first up, let's get into what I call the data dilemma. And I bet this is going to sound familiar. It's that feeling of being completely surrounded by data. You're practically drowning in it, but you're absolutely starving for a real, solid insight that you can actually use to make a decision. Does that hit home? You know the feeling. You ask a simple, direct business question, and what do you get back? A whole lot of talk about gradient boosting and F1 scores. There's this huge gap, right, between the business problem you need to solve and the super technical answer you end up getting. And trust me, if you feel this way, you are not alone. So, what's the fix? How do we bridge that gap? Well, it's actually way simpler than you might think. We just need to flip the whole conversation around. We've got to stop starting with the data or the fancy algorithms. Instead, we have to start with the question. And this really shows the two different worlds we're talking about. On one side, you have the data scientist. They're often focused on one thing: which algorithm gives me the absolute highest accuracy? It's all about technical perfection. But you, as a manager, you live on the other side. Your world is about action. Your question isn't just how accurate is it, it's so what? How do we actually act on this insight? And that's the question that drives real business value. Seriously. If you only remember one single thing from our chat today, please let it be this: the best model is the one that gets used. I mean, you can have the most brilliant, mind-blowing predictive model on the planet, but if it's just sitting on someone's laptop, it's totally worthless. A simple model that actually makes it into a dashboard, that informs a decision in a meeting, that's the one that wins. Every time.
Okay, I can hear you thinking, this is all great, but I'm not a stats whiz. How am I supposed to guide this conversation? Don't worry, I've got you covered. I'm about to give you a super simple framework. You can literally use it in 30 seconds to help you steer the conversation in your very next meeting. Think of it as your own personal model picker.
This is it, the single most important question you can ask. Seriously, forget all the crazy algorithm names for just a second. All you need to ask is this: are we trying to predict a number or a category? That's it. Is it a quantity or is it a label? And here's how that one simple question gives you a clear path. If your answer is we're predicting a number, things like sales figures, a housing price, how much a customer is going to spend, then you're talking about something called regression. But if you're predicting a category, like a simple yes or no, or will this customer churn or stay, is this fraud or not, then what you're doing is called classification. Just knowing those two words, regression and classification, puts you right in the driver's seat of the conversation.
Okay, so once you know if you're predicting a number or a category, here comes the second key question. And this brings us right back to that quote from the beginning. You have to ask, do we need to be able to explain it? In other words, is it more important to squeeze out every last drop of accuracy, or is it more important that we understand why the model is making the predictions it's making? And believe me, for a lot of business decisions, like in banking or customer service, that why isn't just nice to have, it's an absolute must.
And this slide lays out that trade-off perfectly. If the answer is, yes, I absolutely need to explain it, then you can tell your team, hey, let's start with a decision tree. It's awesome because it gives you these clear, simple if-then business rules. It looks just like a flowchart, super easy to understand. But if the answer is no, explainability isn't the top priority, I just need maximum accuracy, then you can say, okay, maybe try something like a random forest. It's way more powerful, but you have to accept that it's going to be more of a black box.
So this isn't just some textbook theory, okay? This is really how the biggest companies in the world are using data every single day. Let's take a look at some of these models out in the wild.
You can see the pattern here, right? Look at Spotify. Business question: which customers are going to churn? That's a category. Churn or stay. Boom, that's classification. Then you've got Walmart. They want to know, how much will we sell next quarter?
That's a number. So you guessed it, that's regression. And Amazon, they want to know what customers buy together. That's about finding patterns, so they use something called association rules. The key thing here, every single one of them starts with a business question, not with the technology.
And when you get this right, the impact is just huge. I mean, look at Netflix. A mind-blowing 80% of what people watch on their platform comes directly from their recommendation models. Just let that sink in. This isn't some little side project for them. It's the absolute core of their business. It's the engine that decides which shows get made and which ones get canceled.
And it's not just in entertainment. Look at finance. JP Morgan Chase used these exact kinds of models, classification models, to predict who was most likely to default on a loan. The result? They cut their loan defaults by 25%. A full quarter of their losses just gone. That is a massive real-world result, and it all came from asking the right business question and using a model they could actually understand and trust.
So, what's the big takeaway here? It's that you don't need to become a data scientist to be effective. This is about giving you a new superpower as a manager. It's the ability to walk into any data conversation and confidently steer it toward what really, truly matters, creating business value.
Okay, so let's wrap this up with your cheat sheet for your very next data meeting. 4 simple rules. 1. Always start with the business problem, not the tech. 2. Push to start with the simplest model that can get the job done. 3. Remember our first slide, an explainable model you can actually act on is almost always more valuable than a perfect black box. And 4. The goal is to get something working and out there, not to build the perfect model that never leaves a laptop.
So, I'll leave you with this one last question to think about. You now have the framework. You have the power to walk into that next meeting, cut right through all the technical jargon, and get everyone focused on what's important. So, what's the first business question you're going to ask your data team tomorrow?